All right, board fam, Eric here, and I thought it'd be fun to go back and look at some older videos from these guys. I talked about doing this before, but now that they're doing it, I thought it's a great time to go back and just see what they were saying about these movies years ago and whether or not their media grift has changed. This is a Nerdrotic video about Spider-Man No Way Home. It's from about 4 years ago, I believe. And it says, Spider-Man No Way Home destroys the MCU. The last great superhero film? Question mark. That's really interesting. So even back then, he was still doing this whole thing about like one thing destroys Marvel, or this one thing destroys Supergirl, or this one thing destroys James Gunn. It's always framed that way. It's never just this movie was good and I really liked it. It's some sort of like culture war framing. But this is back when it was kind of still working. 4 years ago, this was back when it was kind of working for him. Not so much anymore. But let's go ahead and jump into the video.
Spider-Man No Way Home, I have to admit, it was strange seeing superheroes fighting bad guys. It feels like it's been a long time because it has. No one was fighting toxic masculinity or their father, then riding around on a dragon waiting for Marvel's Katie to get the kill shot, or fighting one of their own with dollar store bad Superman, or letting Sharon Carter do the dirty work while you go tell a senator to do better, or getting kicked in the balls multiple times only to get shoved through a portal to cry, or just sitting there on a roof watching three women fight in the dark.
You know, times are changing. Ladies can do stuff now.
Well-developed characters with real stakes in a slightly...
So we're doing it again. Like even now with Spider-Man Brand New Day, we're doing it again today that they were doing back then, which is using Spider-Man as a weapon against Marvel or the success of other studios. This is literally the playbook from these guys. It is quite literally the playbook.
Convoluted and contrived plot. After all the speculation, rumors, and hype, Spider-Man No Way Home finally arrived and it delivered. It crushed box office records. Currently, at time of recording, it has made $600 million worldwide, eclipsing Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and the Eternals box office in a matter of days.
So it's really funny because he brought up those same movies when he talked about Brand New Day. When I watched his review for Brand New Day, those are the same movies that he talked about at the beginning. Wow. Quite literally nothing has changed.
We got it. We got it under control.
And it's only a matter of time when Spider-Man No Way Home eclipses the total box office of all three films.
That's the same thing that they were saying about the Marvel films from 2025. It's like the same fucking script. This is freaky. This is really weird.
And yes, Disney does get 25% of this film, but make no mistake, this is a Sony film and its successes are Sony's. Just ask Sony. Sony.
That's really funny. We're doing the same thing now. It is not a Sony film in the sense that Sony produced the movie with their own creative team. Cliff Notes version of this is that Marvel and their production team under Kevin Feige make the movie and Sony distributes the movie. This deal hasn't changed. It's been the same deal.
Tom Rothman congratulates staff on Spider-Man's success. Spidey and Sony have struck a mighty blow.
Yeah.
It struck a mighty blow to the Disney Marvel box office narrative, and it struck a blow to the other narrative that Hollywood and the access media have been trying to push for the last few years. Subverting everything doesn't make you intellectual or interesting. It just makes you a hack. So
who is the argument actually against here? No Way Home, when it came out being successful, doesn't prove that every other movie failed because of subversion. It proves the audience likes Spider-Man, event movies. They care about nostalgia. That was driving Spider-Man No Way Home at the time. A lot of nostalgia. That's what they care about. But like this whole thing, like the success of Spider-Man is sticking a finger and giving backlash against subversion. There's quite literally no proof of that here. There's no proof of it in Spider-Man Brand New Day. These are the same arguments that he's been making for years. Not because of spoilers, but I always skip over the subjective opinions about the movies as he recaps the film. It's the most boring shit. It really is. I don't know why people sit through him recapping the movie. They've been doing it for a while. It's fucking stupid. But we're at the end of his video. Let's hear what he has to say here, like his final thoughts on this. because this is where you're going to get the meat and potatoes from these guys.
And now I guess I can have a top 5 this year because there's 5 movies I've liked. The Snyder Cut, The Suicide Squad, Ghostbusters, Nobody, and Spider-Man No Way Home. And it's been entertaining to see that the DC-Marvel rivalry from the comics has carried over to the films. Marvel gets one over on DC once again. They announced Flashpoint 6 years ago, which was supposed to be a multiverse story. Then they took so long to make it, Marvel stole the idea, and maybe they made something better. That remains to be seen, but I'm having a hard time believing a movie with 2 Ezra Millers in it is going to be good. Spider-Man No Way Home isn't perfect, but it doesn't need to be because it was a lot of fun. I wasn't crazy how they portrayed Happy Hogan or Doctor Strange in the beginning, and I'm definitely not crazy about him not being the Sorcerer Supreme. There's a lot of plot conveniences.
Not being this, are you talking about when he was blipped? Well, somebody had to do the job. Like, he was gone. So Wong took over while he was gone. Okay.
But the good far outweighed the bad, especially in the last half. It's the best MCU film since Infinity War, and it might vary.
Wait, but I thought it was a Sony movie. So now it's MCU. No, I thought you were giving credit to Sony. Okay.
Very well be the last good MCU film. I love Sam Raimi, but seeing America Chavez in that Doctor Strange trailer at the end was not inspiring. That's right, America Chavez is going to show up in an MCU film before the Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four, Namor, and the X-Men. Sony holds all the cards, and incidentally,
It's so funny because over half of those complaints are now in the MCU, which, by the way, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness almost made $1 billion. Now, again, I'm not saying that's a metric of quality, but these guys live and die on financials. That's what they do. They flop watch the box office. So the fact the movie went on to do almost $1 billion makes this video even funnier.
Marvel's most popular character. What does Marvel have left? They got rid of Iron Man. They got rid of Captain America. They're going to get rid of Thor. They don't have Black Panther.
They didn't get rid of Thor. That didn't happen.
Half the Marvel stands want to cancel Chris Pratt, and the MCU is not moving the needle.
I love all of the diversity flags in the background that have almost nothing to do with the women on the screen here. But this is a weird lineup. This is a weird lineup here. The Marvel films, even at this point, were still male dominated, right? I mean, the movies are like 80% men. Something like that. I have to look up the numbers again, but it's like 75 or 80% men still in lead roles. But whatever. This was the height of this. This is when these guys were making so much money on these videos and getting so many subscribers. These were the days when that was happening.
And I can think of about 1 billion, maybe even 2 billion reasons why you would bring Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back. See what happens, Hollywood, when you don't fill your films full of woke garbage, don't subvert every expectation.
So is the movie good or is it just not woke? That's the part I don't understand with these older videos. Like, was the movie legitimately a good movie or do you just like it because it wasn't woke? I can't figure it out. Let's continue with this.
And have the characters look like they did in the material you're adapting. You make a lot of people happy and you also make a lot of money. Is this a sign of change or just an outlier in Hollywood?
Well, so you make people happy, you make a lot of money. Well, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, let me check the Rotten Tomatoes because I'm curious. I don't know actually what it made on Rotten or where it's at on Rotten Tomatoes. I know that it almost made $1 billion. So let's see what it made on Rotten Tomatoes. Multiverse of Madness is 73% critic score, 85% fan score. And you were complaining about America Chavez being in that movie and Marvel having woke stuff. And the movie went on to be well received and almost made $1 billion.
Hollywood. Unfortunately, I think it's the latter, but it sure was nice to get a break from the message. I had a great time with Spider-Man No Way Home, and I'll probably end up seeing it again. And as Hollywood cranks out more woke garbage, we'll always have this to point back to, and then maybe someday Hollywood will get the message.
This was like, looking back at this is like the perfect packaging for this garbage content they make, this lazy content they make. It's like there's nothing of any substance in these videos. It really was like people were stuck at home because of the pandemic. They didn't have anything to do, so they formed these parasocial relationships with these channels by, with these guys trying to pull in disenfranchised people who movies weren't coming out, TV shows were on streaming, were doing everything, and we were barely getting back into theaters. And so they just kind of pulled these people who felt that way into these communities. And a lot of them are breaking out. That's the thing. A lot of them are breaking out. They're not in it anymore. And I see it in my comment section all the time. So I just want to take a little trip down memory lane. Nothing too long here. Just to show you guys that they're doing the same thing now with Spider-Man Brand New Day that he was doing with Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like quite literally the same playbook and the same talking points. And it's been like half a decade between the films. They can't come up with anything new. The cope continues.